Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. From this session, we are going to start another very important topic for Angular, that is directives. So in this session, we are going to just discuss the introduction of a directive, like what exactly the term directive is, how many types of directories are available, and when we are supposed to use the directives. Okay, so these all things we will be discussing in this particular session. But before we proceed further, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic. Because from prior to this session, like we have already discussed about the signal concept. We have learned everything about signal, like how many types of signals are there, how to use signals and everything, right? So that's why it is always recommended to go watch every session in a sequential manner. Okay, fine. So now I think we are good to start the session. As I mentioned, this is just a theoretical session where we will be just having an overview of the directives. But that doesn't mean that we are going to talk only about the theoretical part. From upcoming session, we will divide each and every topic into practical part and we'll see the example of each from scratch. Okay, so things would be more interesting when we are going to do the practicals. But most of you might be preparing for interviews or exam, so everyone should have at least this much of knowledge for a theoretical purpose, because in interviews also, like you might be asked with these some conceptual questions. So always make sure that you know the answers of it. Okay, fine. So let's start with the first question, like what exactly the directives are in Angular 19, or maybe if you are using any older version. Okay, so what are directives? So if someone asks you what are directives, so you can simply answer in a simple way that directives are the instructions in DOM that tell Angular how to change the appearance and behavior of the element. Okay, so what are directives? Directives are just a simple instructions for in the DOM. DOM means document object model. DOM is document object model that tell Angular how to change the appearance and behavior of the element. Clear? So this is one definition. Now if you check out the definition on Angular official website, you will find this definition, which is directives are classes that add an additional behavior to the element in your Angular application. So one common thing you found here in both definition? Behavior. So make it very clear that whenever we are talking about the directives, we are going to change the behavior of the element of the Angular application. Okay, now if someone asks you in interviews, so you can simply answer it in a two way. Okay, one, you can simply say that these, because meaning is almost same. Here we are just going in a more technical way, here we are just going in a layman terms. Okay, so directives are the instruction in the DOM, which is document object model, that tell the Angular how to change the appearance and or behavior of the element. And in the second definition, you can say that directives are the classes that add additional behavior to the element in your application. Clear? Now the next question is, how many types of directives we have? Although like directives are multiple, right? But we have categorized into three forms. What all three categories are there? First is component directive, second is structural directive, third is attribute directive. Now one by one, let's understand all these three. So first is component directory, which is technically a special type of directory with a template. Okay, now as I mentioned, like this is just an introduction session. From next session, like we are going to see each and every type with a proper example. We will perform some operations and see the output as well. Okay, but for now just keep it in a mind that technically a special type of directive with a template. Component is technically a special type of directive with a template. Clear? Next thing is, every Angular component is a directive. So this is a very important statement, that every Angular component is a directive. Then we have uses like @component method, decorator, which extends directive under the hood. So these are some technical things which would be more clear when we are going to see the practical example, but for now just keep it in a mind as a basic information. Okay. Then second type is structural directive. With its name, it is clear that it changed the structure and layout of the DOM, which is document object model. So whenever you are going to change the structure or layout of the document object model, then in that case you will use the structural directives. Second thing is it add or remove the elements. Yes, so as per the requirement you can utilize it for adding and for removing the elements from the application. Now there are multiple structural directives like ngIf, ngFor, ngSwitch, ngTemplate outlet. Okay, so they have their own functionality, like ngIf is conditionally includes a template, ngFor repeats a template for each item, right? Likewise we have multiple other directives for structural directive that we will be seeing as a practicum. But one important thing is that structural directive uses asterisk syntax. Okay, so whenever you will see any directive which is started with asterisk or star, like star ngIf, star ngFor, star ngSwitch and star ngTemplate outlet, so these all are the structural directive. Okay, then third one is attribute directive, which means change the appearance or behavior of the element. So attribute directive is mainly used to change the behavior and attribute of the behavior and appearance of the element by changing its attribute. They do not change the document object structure, model structure. Okay, so it is not actually changing the document object model structure. Clear? Now what are the examples of it? Examples are ngClass, which dynamically apply the CSS classes. Then we have ngStyle, which apply inline styles. Okay, then we have custom attribute directives like app highlight. Okay, so these are some directives. So like these are the generic categories like component directive, structural directive, attribute directive, but in Angular we can create our own custom directory as well. Okay, so that also we will be seeing when we are going to do it practically. So from next session, like what we will be doing, firstly we will go one by one all these type of categories and their individual directives. We'll see the example and try to understand the concept. Okay, fine. So this is clear, like what is directive. Now that part is also clear, like how many here we can mention types of directives, so that you can make a note of it. Types of directive. Okay, now third thing is when to use directive, because we know what is directory, we know how many types of directory, but the question is when to use directive. What are those circumstances where we are supposed to use directive? So we can use directive to reuse the logic or styles. Okay, so whenever there is a need in a program where you want to reuse the logic and style, in that case you will use the directives. Then second thing is to control visibility, behavior or appearance. Yes, so whenever you want to control the visibility, behavior or appearance, in that case you will use the directive. Then third is to build custom structural or attribute behavior. Yes, as I mentioned, the directives are mainly used for changing the appearance and behavior. So you can see to build the custom structural or attribute behavior, we will use the directives. So these are the only three most important points, but yes, there are many other advantages also for directive that we will be seeing when we will go through it practically. But for now, just make it very clear that yes, directive is also one of the important topic concept for Angular, and directive is something that we mostly use in all projects, right? So it is used frequently, and that is why it is very important to understand the concept of directives, because later on currently we are just learning the concept, but when we are going to create the project, at that time we will use all these things like signals, directives, everything. Okay, so make sure that we clear the concept in the same session, so that at the time of project creation it would be easy for you. Okay, so alright, so today in the session we mainly discuss what is directive, how many types of directives are there, and when we are supposed to use directive. From next session we are going to discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.